No, fortunately, I've gotten over being sick. So,
Hi, everybody.
here we go. Hi there. Welcome back, everybody, to what we call Cast Iron Wednesday, and thank you very much for your for showing up after not being able to make the live last week. Yes, where for anybody who is showing up here for the first time, as we say every week, because this happens every week, is that a number of these smaller YouTube channels here have a Wednesday tradition, which we call Cast Iron Wednesday, and that's basically just doing a video about playing around with cast iron, whether it's cooking or cleaning or restoring or otherwise having some fun with cast iron on Wednesday. Hence, of course, Cast Iron Wednesday. And here we are, where we've actually been doing this since about, oh, good grief, I think it's like about August of 2020. So, yeah, we've actually been doing this for a while, and I very much appreciate, as always, everybody kind enough. Yeah.
Lives for a while, not your channel.
Yes, I very much appreciate everybody who's kind enough to show up here. I mean, we actually have people here tonight, so thank you. Hello, William Hurt. Going to be an interesting process tonight. Well, I hope so. And hello, Papa Dan and Pat Z and the Big John, 4Jim44, Pip Gorn, Jose Latias. Hello, and hello, Debbie. Yes, hello again. Welcome. Welcome back, everybody, to my kitchen, where it is the beginning of March. And for at least the past 10 years or so, I've had something of a tradition going. And that, as we all know, March, of course, is the month of good old St. Patrick's Day. And of course, that means for a lot of people, at least here in the United States, St. Patrick's Day means, of course, corned beef and cabbage. And there's nothing wrong with that. Corned beef, quite frankly, is a wonderful dish when it's prepared right. But about good grief, going on about 10 years ago, I started doing it the hard way and making my own corned beef. And the results have been absolutely astounding. At least I think so. And since then, I become something of a convert. And this is why every year about this time, I try to encourage as many folks as possible to try making your very own homemade corned beef. Because once you do that, you will not regret it, whether it's at St. Patrick's Day or any other time of the year. It's actually pretty easy to make, easier than doing your Thanksgiving turkey. And again, the results are astounding. And even if you do a store-bought corned beef for St. Patrick's Day, I still encourage you to tinker with it. Namely that give it a try, adjust it to your standards, use spices that appeal to you, and you'll have a corned beef that goes from merely good to absolutely astounding. And that's one reason why I've cobbled together a recipe for homemade corned beef that I'm actually quite proud of. I've been using this now for the past several years, and that's where we are as well. Tonight, this year anyway, it is going to be a little bit different, as we mentioned, because, circumstances have been quite interesting over the past few months or so, I would say, where it seems like we've had regular shortages on supplies and prices have gone up. And it's a lot harder to do things that we've pretty much taken for granted, such as preparing corned beef for St. Patrick's Day. That we're going to come into, I think, in a couple of minutes. Yes, meat is so expensive now. Exactly. That's one reason. Another reason why I encourage you to try making your own corned beef, because I'm suspecting it's probably going to be cheaper this year compared to what the price of meat has gone up to. Let's get started on this so that I don't just have to stand around talking. And I've got more to say, of course, once we actually get started. And actually, the process is pretty easy because this means we are going to be preparing the spices to brine our corned beef, and it is so easy. Again, this is something I very much encourage folks to start doing. Let's see if we can't get a good close up of this right now. As you can see, for this year, for this week, I pulled out an unmarked Wagner chicken fryer. This is what we're going to be using to prepare the spices and also the brine. Normally, I do this in 2 pots, but and in a way, I'm going to be doing that. But I think the cooking part, I'm going to be able to do everything in this, including toasting the spices and then boiling up the base for the brine. And I do have a recipe for homemade corned beef, which I have included in the description of this particular video. It's one, as I said, that I've put together myself, but I very much encourage folks to give your own spices a try here. This is, yeah, a lot of the spices we see here are the type that we normally see for corned beef, like allspice, juniper berries. I've got coriander seed. I've got some mustard seed, whole cloves, bay leaves, fennel seed, red pepper, and over here we've got some cinnamon sticks, kosher salt, peppercorns, and brown sugar. So really, nothing here is pretty much out of the ordinary. Probably the hardest thing that you may have finding if you actually try gathering these ingredients yourselves would be the juniper berries. Oh, and also one other thing, cardamom pods. And I'll be going over all this in a couple of minutes. One thing, in addition to all this, we've got some ginger. And the recipe notes that you've got to slice up some ginger so that we can toast it in our oven, in our cast iron pan. And yeah, as you can see, this really is not very difficult as far as preparation goes. Not even peeling the ginger, because we're not going to be eating the ginger. So it's nice and as simple as that. That means let's gather this together. Let's put this aside. Knife, I'll throw all this together. And then we will start with the ingredients for our there we go, for our brine for the corned beef. I like this chicken fire anyway. It's nice and deep, and so it has a lot of room, and it's less likely that anything is going to spill. Yeah, do that right, why don't I? Anything is going to spill, assuming, of course, I put the lid down in a manner where it won't fall off. Okay, put this aside, and let me see now. I don't have the recipe memorized. It has a whole bunch of ingredients, but it's pretty simple here. Pretty much we're going to have 1 table each of all of these little things. So in that case, we'll just get started. That means get to pull out, hello, Dr. M. I'm right here with you, Jose. Hello, this Mexican has never had corned beef. Well, if you don't mind, if you want to go out and buy some and give it a try, I'd say do so. If you've ever had pastrami, then you've certainly had corned beef. Or you could just simply make it yourself, especially because it's pretty easy. And Papa Dan, how are the eye injections going? Yes, how are they going? As I mentioned, one of the tougher things I've had finding here are juniper berries. I actually had to go to a specialty spice shop, which fortunately we have in town for that. That's probably the trickiest thing to find. The rest of these are pretty easy. We've got allspice. I'm just doing 1 tablespoon each of these, and it's going to be more than enough for the brine and also for our spices as well for cooking the corned beef. We've got allspice. And then from here, we do some coriander seed. As I said, most of these you can probably find at a typical supermarket. A couple of the more esoteric ones you might actually have to go to a foreign market for. There's the coriander seed. And that's a good thing in itself because I love going to foreign markets, an Indian market, a Chinese market, a Hispanic market, because you can always find something interesting and strange. Here is some mustard seed. And as I said, the measurements are pretty simple. 1 tablespoon of each, which is going to be plenty, in fact. And from there we have some whole cloves. Yeah, I am using the dried stuff, yes, and I'm sure if folks have fresh ingredients to substitute, please feel free to do so. These are fennel seeds. Fennel is one of those ingredients that I do encourage folks to use more often, especially when cooking pork, or in this case, corned beef. And here are our fennel seeds. Some red pepper flakes. And once we're done here, as I said, I will get down to, well, yeah, there are definitely some subjects we we certainly should cover tonight, that's for sure. Even more than just these ingredients here. Red pepper flakes. Let me see. A couple of bay leaves. And one more, I think. There we go. And then finally, we get down to it. Have 2 cinnamon sticks. Hey, what are you doing, Mowgli? You're not supposed to be on there. In fact, let me break these up a little bit. And I'm going to have to, well, get the cat off of here. Usually it's Trouble who does that, but lately Mowgli's gotten a lot more ambitious, which is not a bad thing, I think. There we go. These pieces of cinnamon, and this should be enough. Of course, Mowgli has something in particular on her mind. I know that. Because after all, it's been like, what, a full hour, I think, since she's had some tweets. I think I just said the magic word. Okay, and finally, good old black peppercorns, which I make a point of never being without. And finally, a few cardamom pods. It says 9, but of course, exact numbers for these things are really pointless. But it does give you a general idea, anyway, of how much we're supposed to do. Come on. And finally, after all that, the sliced ginger. And now from here, turn the oven up to, or the stovetop rather, to about, maybe about just yay so. Just about between low and medium here, because we are going to be toasting ourselves from some spices. We're doing this in a dry cast iron pan. There's no oil or anything like that. And once this thing gets good and hot, the spices are going to toast, and we will then just keep doing it until we hear the seeds just starting to snap, crackle, and pop. And that's when we know they're ready to be used. This could take maybe about, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, which is good because I think we have a couple of things to talk about. However, I think I had better get my little furry companion down from there, which means one other ingredient. Time for the tweets. Careful, Mowgli. Wow. There you go. Okay, and while we're doing that, let's check here as well. And I see we've got, Kitty there was going to be, I thought it was going to be, Kitty heard there was going to be corned beef. Yeah, that's about right. Old-fashioned coffee pot. My chicken fryer is made in Taiwan. It's a sturdy little pan. It takes a nice seasoning. Nice. Pop Dan, I haven't noticed any major improvement to vision. Eye surgeon said the injections release over 6 weeks, so progress would be slow. Just keeping my fingers crossed. Yes, all we can do is wait. And we're all waiting here with you, that's for sure. Ozelatias, pastrami. Not a fan of pastrami, but there is a fast food place in the LA area called The Hat. I like their pastrami. So, well, actually, if you've never had New York pastrami, you haven't had pastrami. I guess that's the best I can say there. Right, I'm seeing it in a can. Okay, let's start keeping these things going here. Um, yeah, as I mentioned, and as we've said already, this is definitely something of a year already, that's for sure. Maybe not for the same reasons as the last couple of years, in that it does seem like prices have been spiking, unfortunately. And I know the world political situation has something to do with that. Ugh. But I'm not here to get into politics. What I am going to get into, though, is that, as I mentioned, I like doing a homemade corned beef for St. Patrick's Day. I'm not Irish in descent. Of course, everybody says that they're Irish on March 17th. But I do have personal reasons as well for celebrating May 17th. So I very much enjoy using this as an excuse to put together some homemade corned beef. The most expensive part of this, while some of these spices are a little hard to find, the most expensive part by far, of course, is the meat, which is where we usually use beef brisket. Except this year. Normally, around this time of year, I go looking for a full brisket. You know, we're talking like one of those big slabs of brisket that comes in a pre-sealed package. I think they call it a cryo package or something, the kind that can be anywhere from like maybe 12 to 15 pounds in size. Normally, the cost of that, I find, if I go to the meat market or the like, can run anywhere to like maybe $65 or so. But I consider this to be a very special thing to do, and as such, I don't mind the cost of it. This year, I have not been able to find a brisket like that. I called the local butcher shop and the local meat market, and yes, they actually did say they had it, although it might run to around $10 per pound or so. That means what was previously costing about $65 or so could very well run to twice that. You know, we might be talking maybe $120. So, yeah, that may very well be out of my budget, unfortunately. I called Price Chopper. They had nothing. I called Stop and Shop. They had nothing for brisket. I called, no, I didn't call. You don't bother calling Walmart. I looked in Walmart and on their website for all of the local stores, the brisket was sold out. I called Market Basket, which is a local restaurant, local supermarket chain here in the New England and Massachusetts area that has a very good reputation. They said, "Yeah, we got it. You can come in and get it." So I went to Market Basket on Monday evening, and the guy at the butcher counter said, "Nope, we don't have it." I don't know why the guy told you we had it because we don't have it. So, all right. Considering all of this, I actually took some advice from the kind folks on my Facebook page because I had posted previously about doing that. I suggested that, no, it was suggested that one thing to consider, especially with the prices being so high, is you don't have to use brisket when making corned beef. You can, of course, use this corning brine and process on any cut of meat. It doesn't even have to be beef. And it was suggested that I give it a try with chuck because chuck, of course, is a lot easier to find and a lot less expensive than brisket, especially these days. So I thought, okay, let's give it a try because, hey, that means, guess what? It's something different. And I'm always a fan of trying something different. And so that means this year we are indeed still going to have corned beef because it is beef. We are still going to be using the corning process. However, instead of using a brisket this year, I took your advice. And as you saw in the thumbnail of this video, we've got ourselves here some nice about 5 pounds of bone-in chuck roast. It's bone-in because I don't see any reason not to use bone-in, which is in fact probably the least expensive chuck I've seen. This one was actually $3.99 a pound, so that certainly made this a lot more affordable. And anyway, the whole point of the corning process, I mean, if there's anybody who is not familiar with what corning beef is, it is essentially just beef that has been brined with a particular set of spices, such as these. And no, there's no corn in corned beef, of course. You can get into the history, which I'm sure some folks probably know, namely that this whole point of the corning process was originally meant to preserve the meat, so that it would not spoil. This was developed in the days and maybe even the centuries long before the development of refrigeration. And so, of course, that was really the whole point of spices anyway. When they invented spices I should say discovered spices and the spicing process in the earliest days of civilization. There's a reason why a large number of spices come from the Middle East, for instance, where, as you know, the temperature is very, very hot and meat spoils very quickly. And the reasons for spices are, number one, to preserve meat so it doesn't spoil, and number two, to give it an interesting flavor, which is where corning comes from in corned beef. The corning process, again, just involves these particular spices. Once these things are all hot and toasty, we will then actually put it together in a boiling water brine. And then from there, once we cool the brine down, we'll be able to simply mix it in with the beef. Brining your Thanksgiving turkeys first started becoming popular during the 1980s, and since then, just about everybody does it. And this is really all that it is. It's like brining your Thanksgiving turkey. In fact, it's easier than brining your Thanksgiving turkey because, of course, that chuck roast or even a brisket is nowhere near as big as a turkey. And so it's a lot easier to do. Once you put it in the brine, you can stick it in the back of your refrigerator for like a week to 10 days. I actually like going 2 weeks myself, but that's just because of me. And then from there, I'm starting to smell this already. Yeah, this is definitely working. This thing is definitely heating up the spices. And so that means you just brine it for about 2 weeks, and the end result is corned beef. The alternate, of course, is to go to the store and buy corned beef. This when St. Patrick's Day comes around, corned beef can go on sale at for very, very low prices. I'm not sure if they're going to be as low this year. And here, of course, is where they talk about the different cuts of brisket. The one that always goes on sale for dirt cheap is, of course, the point cut, which is generally considered the less desirable cut of corned beef. So naturally, they sell it cheaper. The flat cut, which is more tender and a little less grain, and a little less, has less sinew or muscle in it, that can go on sale, but it's never as dirt cheap as you can get with the point cut. On the other hand, there's nothing wrong with using the point cut. I almost always do use the point cut when I do my corned beef every year, because it still gives you some wonderful corned beef either way. And that is a very brief description, I guess, of what goes on with corned beef. This year, as I said, I'm going to be using bone-in chuck, especially since this thing is going to be brining for about 2 weeks or so. I don't believe there will be any problem at all with using bone-in chuck, because after all, it's not like the bone is going to keep it from brining. So we will do this and see how it turns out. I've heard about it. Now we're actually going to give it a try and see how it turns out. I can definitely smell this, and boy, does this smell good. Not seeing any sign of a snap, crackle, and pop yet, but I'm hoping within the next few minutes or so. Meanwhile, Jose Latios, that looks good by itself. I certainly hope so. I have a great jalapeno cornbread recipe if you like. Why is it called corned beef when there is no corn in it? Well, yes, Red Dog, that's what I've been explaining. Corning is a process of preserving and brining the meat that was developed. I believe it was actually developed in the area of the British Isles, or at least Northern Europe. So, Turner Fowler, I bought a Wagner number 7 cauldron called at a metaphysical shop for $80. Ooh. And it's not cracked or warped. Well, not warped is actually something pretty impressive. Just dirty and a little pitted on the outside. I plan on cooking with it. Definitely. Just go ahead and restore it and season it, and that's exactly what it's for. If in fact it's not warped, you're doing pretty good. Because one thing I will say, Wagner is a very popular brand, and indeed, it's known for being high quality. And most Wagner pans, except maybe the very latest ones of the 80s and 90s, are often pretty much close to glass smooth. Yet, it's pretty easy to come across a warped Wagner pan or a Wagner Dutch oven. If you have one, continue using it. That's the best I can say. I do believe this chicken fryer here is something of a spinner itself, and yet I don't have any problem using it, as you can see. Meanwhile, what else do we have? I'll hunt it up and post it. Well, please do, Debbie Vogel. All right, what else do we have here? Pawpaw Dan, plan on cooking cornbread on Friday night. Got several tips. Well, I hope you like it. That's the best I can say. I hope it turns out very well. And Goat Kid Mom, I want to try corning some venison. Oh yeah, no, I mean that would be interesting. Instead of corned beef on St. Patrick's Day, some corned venison. I'm sure that would turn out fantastic. Old-fashioned coffee pod. Where I live in BC, Maple Leaf Foods sells a chunk of seasoned corned beef brisket about the size of your foot here, successfully in bags you boil. The only way to make yummy Reuben sandwiches here, unless you do it yourself, of course. And Papa Dan, thanks for the BSR cornbread skillet and how to clean it. Was in the process of restoring one when Daddy got sick. Well, the best. Well, in that case, definitely think of him. And thank you very much, Rex Housley. I'm never asking for these donations, but thank you so much. Yeah, but in that case, when you make your cornbread, definitely think of your dad, Papa Dan. So, as I said, yeah, is Miss Mobley's fur chewing problem better? Asks Clico. Unfortunately, it still seems to be about the same, regrettably. So it's not an allergic reaction. I mean, even though the fur is wearing thin in a couple of spots, we're seeing no signs at all of a rash or anything else. And she is still definitely eating on a regular basis, her own food, not just the little tweets. But so we still can only conclude, unfortunately, that it's a nervous tick that she's picked up. Tick as in TIC, like a person with Tourette's ticking, for instance. And maybe, as I said, pretty soon, within the next few minutes or so, we'll be hearing these things beginning to pop. And I'm certainly looking forward to it. Maybe I'll turn the heat up just a little bit. We are now up between maybe 3 and 4, closer to 4 now on the, we're just maybe about, excuse me, the 8 o'clock position, or about halfway between low and medium. And once these spices are toasted, we will be able to move on to the next step. Other than that, though, as you can see, this is really not hard at all. Okay, I had described there just that about my plan on making some corned chuck, which is still going to be corned beef, and I'm very much looking forward to it. As I said, this is something I've been doing every year, and I would still very encourage anyone, whether it's Jose Latias or anyone else, to give this a try. Or again, if you do use store-bought corned beef, then please try your own spices. It does not have to be these spices, but try your own spices and see how it turns out.
And try baking it, not boiling it.
Yes, and try baking it, not boiling it. That's what also I've been doing for the last several years. The disadvantage of baking it, though, is that it does cause the corned beef to really shrink up. In that this 5 pound boning corned beef that we're going to be having, in the end, we'll probably have just enough to give a nice, healthy St. Patrick's dinner for 2 people, such as Jamie and myself. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I had mentioned I'm suspecting this year the sales of the store-bought corned beef are probably going to be less than they have been in previous years. I hope I don't jinx them, and I hope it does. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you get some nice dirt cheap corned beef St. Patrick's Day. But I would have to say, be prepared for the worst, which would mean spending more for corned beef, which again suggests that it may not be a bad idea to make it yourself, especially if you already have some beef in your freezer right now. Speaking of which, I think I'll mention as well, as I said, once these things here are toasted and they're snapping, crackling, and popping, the next step will be we will reserve some of it so that we can actually use those spices to cook the corned beef. The rest of it we'll be able to start the brine. And in this case, that means normally I would put these spices in a separate pot, but I don't see any reason why I couldn't try putting them all in here. That means then we will cover this with water, add some brown sugar, kosher salt, and especially curing salt. That's another thing I think we need to talk about. Nitrates in when used in this, because that of course is something of a topic there, as it's been pointed out, that things like nitrates are pretty much known to be carcinogenic and have been linked to all kinds of fun things. The reason why they continue using these nitrates in food, and not just the corporate ones, yeah, I mean, usually that's where the talk about, oh, it's a corporate cover up, and they would prefer just to keep on selling it, even though it makes you sick. Well, no. Even independent food suppliers, and even these so-called natural and organic stores. They do still continue using their own cured corned beef, using, like, say, curing salt, as we have here. Here, in fact, is the jar of curing salt that I have. It is not absolutely necessary to use nitrates or curing salt or saltpeter in your brine. The main reason for it, of course, was that was actually where that was the preservation agent. That was really what helped to preserve the corned beef and keep it from going bad. In these days of refrigeration, of course, you really don't need it. The other thing it does do is that is what makes your corned beef give it its distinctive pink color. There are, in fact, it has become quite common these days for a number of stores and meat markets and so forth to sell uncured or gray corned beef, because without the nitrates or without the curing salt, after about a week to 2 weeks in the brine, you will have some delicious corned beef, and it will definitely taste like corned beef. It will not look like corned beef. it will be a gray color both inside and out. That's one reason why I'm still using the curing salt, so that it will have the usual pink color. It's also been said if you don't want to use nitrates in your brine, but you still want your corned beef to be pink, some people use beet juice in their brine to help color the corned beef. That, of course, is entirely up to everyone. I'm just doing the traditional method because, well, I have had very good results with it. And, oh yeah, this is definitely warm. I'm not seeing them popping yet, but again, as I said, I'm still hoping that happens any moment. Spell your name wrong, Neotes. That's why I have in a recipe is pickling spice. Yeah, that's what these are. Essentially, they are pickling spices. That's another name really for pickling this beef here. And well, Turner Fowler, Pawpaw Dan said that he's really just only started his treatments. So everybody here is hopeful that things will still turn out okay. Deanna Lynn Doby, greetings from Montreal, Canada. Well, thank you. I'm glad about that. I keep looking at secondhand stores. Well, and I can only hope you're having a lot of fun with your new little collection. And Corey Clark, I inject the brine into the meat. Yes, and you could certainly do that too. I'm just doing it the hard way because the hard way is not so hard. As I said, it just requires some patience. Once the brine is ready, we will be able to put it into bags, and along with the beef, of course, and then we just stick it in the refrigerator. It's also commonly said in most of these recipes to turn the brining bag over once every day. I never do that. From the beginning, I don't do that. I cheat. And I just literally set it and forget it. I stick it in the fridge, leave it alone for 2 weeks, and it still turns out great. I have not had any problem at all with my corned beef if I don't bother turning over the brining bag. It's not like one side of it is more brined than the other. Oh yeah, yeah, set it and forget it. Well, that's pretty much what it is. Yes. But this is a little nod. That's trademarked by Mr. Popeil. I'm sure it is, actually. Totally is. That's why I said that. Yeah, he died, but his company still lives on. Ronco.
Well, you look like you're about to fall off. What were you talking? Oh, you ate them.
Yeah. Oh. I am hoping that this starts popping any moment, but this is what.
That flavor is strong.
Yeah, you can smell it too.
It smells strong.
I like the smell, to be honest, but.
There's some gum. There's this tea berry gum.
Tea berry gum.
There was some gum. It was a pink flavor. It was a pink wrapper.
Could be.
That's what it smells like.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. It's like an old-fashioned gum.
But yeah.
Old-fashioned gum. Oh my god, I wrote these still, don't I? Oh no. Did we do? Oh no. Oh, it's good still.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yep. That's all right. It's been preserved. So, however, you should probably use it.
Now.
Yes. Huh.
Now.
Previously, when I've toasted these things in a chef skillet, it's usually taken like maybe about 15 to 20 minutes or so.
That's so perfect. Like it almost sounded like you were like previously on a new episode, an old episode of Cast Iron Chaos.
Yeah. Of course, on the other hand, this is, as I've mentioned before, my stove is pretty crappy these days. It seems like so.
Our stove was delivered.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, gas stove.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to giving that a try.
You ripped out all the kitchen cabinets today and all the flooring. You put new flooring. You put the plywood down to the floors.
Nice.
So if we want to come up with a new kitchen design, we can do it. We have to do it like right now.
Okay.
Yeah, now's the
But
I think really the only way is that the floor doesn't change how it was. But
yeah. Okay.
We'll talk about that after.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about it after. So.
Exciting stuff coming, folks. Exciting stuff.
Yeah. From what I can tell, I'm finally going to be moving out of this apartment this month. So, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. it's taken a long time because our apartment that we're getting has been taken down to literally the studs and all new ply, completely 100%, a complete 100% reno, new renovation. So everything's new, appliances new, bathrooms new. And yeah, it's still, oh my god, I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Definitely getting an aroma from this.
Yeah, it smells really good.
Yeah, so, and that's why I can only hope the telltale sign. Maybe I should, maybe I should consider. Oh, did I just hear something? Not yet, but I was saying didn't know if I should consider just simply preparing it without waiting for the snap, crackle, and pop because.
You have to pop because that smells. Listen, that is really strong.
Well, yeah, I know.
Come over here. The smell is really strong.
Yeah,
so
and
you can't see that it's not. It's definitely letting off.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, your rule anyway, as you know, is that
yeah,
if you can
within the
smell
past
it, it's done.
Yo, in the past 30 seconds, 40 seconds, that's not.
Okay.
It's really strong.
Yeah, I can actually see a little bit of
smoke.
smoke. Yes, so I'd say most likely we are done. So hello, Peg 2. Don't worry, you're not late. I mean, we haven't made too far. Jose Latias, are you just making the brine for the corned beef right now? Yes, exactly. That's what I'm doing. Once this brine is done, then we'll be able to actually corn the beef. And yes, this is what we have here, the spice mixture for the brine. So, as Jamie pointed out, excuse me, I'd say this should be done. So,
it catches right in the back of the throat.
Right.
It's
So
a good flavor though. It's a different kind of spice burn. I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
Right. It feels like I'm gonna breathe and my breath is gonna smell like this.
And I just heard a pop anyway.
Oh, I did too, just then too.
Yep, it's definitely starting to pop now. So it is definitely done. That means, excuse me. Yeah, exactly. Let's take ourselves a scoop and scoop out at least some of these spices. Yeah. And then from here, I'm definitely going to have to start. There we go. Maybe a couple of these. Some ginger. Some of these bay leaves. There we go. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. Now that means. Yeah, we're definitely. That means now going to start the next phase, which is here I'm doing something a little bit different. As I said previously, I would transfer these into a different pot, but I'm going to try doing it all in one pot tonight. Okay. That should be enough. I've got 4 cups here. Oh, yeah. There we go. There we go. I know you say it. Yeah, I know you say it boils faster with cold water, but I did not feel like adding cold water to a hot pot. Yeah. All right. Now that we've done that, can add the rest of the. Okay, these, as I said, I'm gonna be putting in the fridge for the next 2 weeks. This is what we'll be cooking the corned beef with. But as for the rest of these, and yes, I know that's not enough liquid for the brine. This is not going to be the entire brine. I'm going to boil this and then mix it into a big pot. Mix it into a big pot, which we will have ice water in, so that way it will cool down quickly. Excuse me. Yeah, you're right. The aroma is pretty much something here. Okay, now that we've done all that, the brine. We got to mix in 2 cups of kosher salt, half a cup of brown sugar, 4 teaspoons of saltpeter or curing salt. So, as you said, excuse me, yeah, woo. Yes, it is. But I've got it in water now, so that should really help. Okay, we've got 2 cups of kosher salt coming up. 1. Yes. 2, 3. These are half cups. And 4. So there's 2 cups of kosher salt. I put in just enough water that I figure it should dissolve the salt, especially since in addition to all this, I'll also be adding half a cup, as it said, of brown sugar. Once we do that, I'll be able to add comments, see some more comments. Thank you for your patience, as always. Here's half a cup of brown sugar. Plop. There we go. And once all this is boiling, I will then dilute it. So essentially, I guess you could call this like a base for the brine. There we go, yeah. Already, at least the fumes have dissipated to the point where I'm not choking. But what I've got to do is get this all to dissolve properly. On the other hand, that's one reason why we're bringing this up to a boil. And finally, now for the controversial ingredient. Oh, shut up. Teaspoons. And 4 teaspoons of curing salt. One, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. And that will be the base for our brine. Oh, it looks like it's already starting to bubble. We've got a witch's potion here because, in fact, we are going to be doing something magical. We're going to be preserving the meat. Bubble, bubble, toil and trouble. No, I said it wrong. Double, double toil and trouble. Like maybe we could, for instance, wish double, double toil and trouble to the hostile army out there in Ukraine. That's about all the politics I'm going to say. Okay, however, there we go. We've got ourselves the start for our brine here. As I said, what I want to do is bring this up to a nice boil. In fact, maybe I should even just cover it at this point. It's not necessary to keep stirring it. So, here comes the lid for our chicken fryer. And now, back to some comments. Yeah, as I said, this is an unmarked Wagner chicken fryer. It's unmarked because it doesn't. The bottom, in fact, is completely blank. The Wagner lid, meanwhile, has the sawtooth ridges on the underside here, which definitely identified as a Wagner. I don't believe any other any other of the manufacturers made their lids like that. So. CIC, are you feeling better? Have you hit 85%? I'm trying to remember what 85% was for. But yeah, I'm definitely doing better. I've been back to work since last Friday, in fact. So things are going okay on this end. In fact, in addition to what we're seeing tonight, excuse me, last night we made some excellent pork chops, and I've managed to film that. So I'm going to try to have not just 2, but 3 videos out by the weekend. Namely, we've got this tonight. We've got the pork chops video, which I hope to do within the next couple of days. And also, we also had, we did a project and we did some deep fried PBJs, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches over the weekend. And that was a lot of fun as well. So I'm excited that Mrs. Mobley and Trouble have approved your new digs. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to like it. So there's actually a lot more room in that place for them to run around, and I'm happy about that. Not to mention more room for storage, and I'm happy about that too. Hello, Shadow Walker XM. Yeah, we're both doing better, so that's good. As far as I could tell, I did not have COVID. Somehow, I've actually managed to avoid contracting COVID throughout this entire pandemic. Hopefully, it'll stay that way. My being vaccinated and boosted probably helped. And Papa Dan, Shadow Walker XM, thanks. Learning to live with it, but not giving up hope that infections will be cleared out by injections. William Hurt, Jose, get a brisket and throw in a Dutch oven or crock pot with some cabbage and try it. Yes, exactly. So, I mean, the best thing you can do is try it. Turner Fowler, you make it just like chicken pot pie. Just put ham in it and bake it in cast iron. Corey Clark, is your roommate moving in with you? Yes, actually, she is. She does pay rent. I mean, she's not living here for free. So, I mean, fair is fair. We will still be living, and again, we are just friends. As I said, this is not that kind of arrangement. We are both just living here really more for the sake of convenience than anything else. Also, because we enjoy each other's company. And I want to know how this tastes. Yeah. Like beef or chicken pot pie, except it's ham. Oh, a ham pot pie. That actually sounds pretty interesting. That's what we were referring to here. So yeah. Okay. As I said, I'm really just waiting for this thing to boil, which I'm betting should not take too long. This is a nice number 9 chicken fryer, and I'm quite happy with that. When I went to Brimfield last Saturday, last fall, funny, it's like I stumbled across no less than maybe 3 or 4 of these Wagner chicken fryers in various states. A couple of them were restored. At least one was not. And if I didn't already have this, I'm betting I could have gotten that one for a pretty decent price. Christine Borgatti. I have a 10.5-inch chicken fry made in the USA with an H on the bottom. I roasted some veggies in it tonight. Oh, yeah. Well, that's the best thing to do. Get some use out of it. The nice thing about these chicken fryers, or as they also call them, deep skillets, they are, of course, very much... where is this anyway? Why am I seeing? Oh, there it is. These deep skillets, the nice thing about them, of course, is that they have their high sides, and that really cuts down on splatter and things spilling. So they are actually quite useful for you to use as skillets as well. The fumes should have died down by now. So I'm just waiting for this to boil. And then after that, we'll mix it in with ice water, and we will have ourselves a brine.
There you go.
So-
Totally off topic. Have you ever wondered what the golden retriever and dachshund mix would look like? Yeah.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah, right.
So yeah.
Golden retriever dachshund mix. That's a golden retriever and a wiener dog. That's crazy. Totally off topic. I saw that. I was like, that is
A golden wiener.
It's like a golden wiener. It's a unicorn of dogs.
Okay, that's a very
Well, it's not a Rottweiler and
Yeah.
dachshund. There'd be a rotten wiener.
Jose Latias gotta go. The wife is calling again. Well, have a good evening then. So, Papa Den, need help moving? Yeah. We will need help, yes, but I'm not asking you to come from Arkansas to here just for this. So, yeah.
We know you'll take care of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, actually, this is a pretty standard lid. As I said, Wagner made these high dome lids like this. A number of them are marked. Oh, this is definitely getting hot, so I'd say this should be boiling any moment. A number of these are a number of these were marked. This one happens to be unmarked. If it was marked, you would see the Wagner logo on the underside of the lid, of course. Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks like Jamie opened the window too to help get the fumes out. That's all right. Trouble is over there. Trouble is over there in the window, so that's fine. So, and anyway, that's not going to affect this brine. So there's no problem at all with that. Um, as we know, of course, the unmarked cast iron pots are usually the ones that antique vendors have no idea about, and that's usually where we can get ourselves a better deal. That is, unless, of course, it's one of those vendors that thinks that anything cast iron uh, that looks old is gold. So, if anyone ever sees one in North Carolina, let me know. Wonder what happened to it. Oh, I see. I just can't. Yeah. Yes, your furniture will make the move fine. Just can't guarantee that your cast iron will make the move successfully. Wonder what happened to it. Yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine. Okay, you can.
Back of your truck.
Yeah, exactly. It fell into your truck.
Back of his truck.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
Yes. Well, that is one of those sayings there. It's like if you hide cast iron in your truck for a month because you don't want the wife to find out about it, you might have cast ironitis. It'll clean your sinuses. Yeah, I think those fumes did clean our sinuses, but yeah, we're definitely getting to the point now where it is the smell or the fumes are a lot more tolerable. And so that means I think we're almost at the point there where oh yeah, there we are. In fact, we've got a little bit of steam, and that means here is our brine, or at least the base for our brine. That means while we're doing this, now we have to move over, excuse me, and start preparing the next step. So let's see, let's do it this way. And here's where I pull out a stock pot that I don't use very often, in fact. Okay, so that means, let's pull this out a little bit. This, for the record, is, I'm guessing, maybe like about a 12-quart or so aluminum stock pot. It is not vintage. In fact, I bought it at an India market maybe a year or two ago. And as it turns out, I have not had a lot of use for it. But this, in fact, is one thing that I definitely use it for. And that would be preparing the brine here. So, if you'll excuse me one moment. Here we go again. There we are. And one reason why I want to use an aluminum stock pot is because, again, I'm going to be putting ice and hot water into it. If I were to put ice into this boiling cast iron pot, of course, I really do not want to run the risk of cracking the pot, crack pot. So instead, we're going to do it this way. There we go. This should definitely cool it down well enough that we can get this beef into the brine before the end of this video here. Or at least that's my hope. What I should do is probably raise this so that we might be able to actually have a vantage point of it. So I can move these things over a little bit. There we go. And let's see what happens here. Okay, that means... Whoa, where did that come from? Let me raise this again. I don't know what happened. Okay. Take two. I've turned off the heat, but of course the iron is keeping this thing boiling very nicely. Oof. Yeah, I know. Come on. Ah, there it goes again. Stick this to the side. And let's give this a try. This should not be difficult because this is a very, very wide area. And here we go. Looks like that salt is still there. Well, fortunately, there's going to be more water in here, so hopefully this will dissolve a little better. In fact, that's not even all the water. Still, we're off to a decent start already. All that boiling water did not quite melt the ice. Which means I'm just going to have to add some more water to the pot. Of course, on the other hand, the ice is not a bad thing either. So I think this is still doing pretty good. All right, if you'll give me a moment, I think I'm going to add some more water though. So where did I put that? There it is. There we go. I think this is like warm water, not hot or cold. So let me turn it more towards cold because we do not want to start cooking that brine. Still, I'd say this is looking quite attractive at this point because it's mostly water as opposed to ice. Yeah, I think things are doing pretty good. Okay, let me check a couple of comments and then we will move on to the next step, I think. All right. Okay. Let's see. Going back here a little bit. Hey guys, I have a Wagner chicken fry that came with a glass lid. Bought it Hecht Company 1960s. I got it from my mom. I haven't used it much since I busted the glass. Yeah, that happened a lot with those glass lids. And yeah, I think Wagner actually stopped making iron lids. What would you say? Like maybe around the 1970s or so? So I'm not too surprised. The best you could say, of course, is that really any Wagner is a pretty generic size pot, and you could probably find a cheap lid at any number of thrift stores that would fit it, whether it's glass or even metal. And Clico, Papa Dan, my 99-year-old mom still swears a mover stole her ancient cast iron Dutch oven. Nothing's impossible, that's for sure. Peg tooth, fly me over. I'll even sleep in an abandoned car to help you move. Well, that probably won't be necessary. Bob, look for glass lids at secondhand stores, says William Hurt. Sometimes you find some that fit cast iron also. Lodge makes glass lids that might fit. Papa Dan Clico, not saying that your mama is correct, but she might be correct. I know a case where that happens. Sorry for the loss of her Dutch oven. Yeah. Are we cooking ice? Don't burn it. Well, it looks like it's pretty well cooked at this point, I'd say. So, Billy Lee Lawton, no particular size. I love anything cast iron. I'm just, I'm glad you like the chicken fryer. So, Bob S. I wish I was a thrift store junkie. A lot of useful vintage stuff to be found there. Goat Kid Mom, I actually use some silicone lids for some of my frying pans, also some old stainless steel lids. And Papa Dan bought a Volrath lid and found out it was for their chicken fryer. Well, best of luck. So, okay. And finally, Pokey Park 23. Glad to accidentally come across the live stream. Well, thank you very much, I guess. Hope your household feels better soon from Ontario. Well, I hope things aren't too cold up there in Ontario. Okay. Having said all that, I do believe we are ready to move on to the next step because we've got ourselves a nice brine here. And what's more, I do believe that kosher salt has indeed dissolved because I'm scraping the bottom gently and I'm not seeing any salt residue. So I think it worked. That means we've got ourselves a nice doable brine. And that frankly means the hard part is over. So now, just got to clear out some room here. That's one thing that I have in my new place. Room! And yeah, you better believe I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I know, I'm definitely envious of those. Yeah, I'm definitely envious of those professionally produced videos, the ones that actually have budgets, where you see the chef standing in this gigantic kitchen with a gigantic oven and everything is pristine and empty. And there's a whole lot of room for everybody to move about. Yeah, I'm looking forward to being in a place where I have something like that. Okay. Let's move back over here again. There's the chicken fryer with the salt residue. So that'll be easy to clean off. And that means we've got a nice view of the chicken fryer and my, once again, my board. So, move this over, and that means we get to pull out a couple of gallon-sized, Ziploc bags. I believe these are dollar store gallon-sized Ziploc bags. Nothing wrong with that. A bowl, because after all, if these bags were to break, I don't want the brine spilling all over the place. And now it's time to whip out my meat. Excuse me while I whip this out. Okay, as I said, I'm going to be doing this bone in because I don't see any reason not to. And since, after all, this is going into the brine, there's really no need to even wipe this off or wash it off or anything like that. So, let's get started. I think the real risk, in fact, if anything, would be the bone poking through the plastic. That would not be a good thing, would it? So, oops. Oh dear, I got some raw meat, and now suddenly trouble is climbing up my legs here. Hey, Trouble. Hey, Trouble. All right. Yeah, he does, in fact, like the taste of raw meat, because after all, he is a cat. What do you expect? Here's one, and here's the other. And carefully, here comes the first one. As I said, my worry more than anything else is the bone. So in fact, better keep it with the bone up. And here's the other one. These are a couple of pretty big slabs of meat. Are they really saying that, this is only 5 pounds? Gee, I don't know, it's actually a little hard to believe. But nonetheless, there we are. So, one and then the other. How am I going to do this now? Every time without spilling the brine all over the place. I think that's really the hardest question here. still hot. I don't want to lift that with my hand. Let's see if I can make all this fit carefully, because again, I'm not interested in spilling this brine all over the place. And let's see if we can move this over. Yeah, there we go. Hey, it worked. I know this is the part where some folks say, hey, here comes the chaos. Yes, and I agree, but I don't want there to be too much chaos. Thank you. Okay. Well, I guess we'll just start scooping it up. Why risk it? Let's do it the easy way. After all, these are 2-gallon bags, and I think we have like maybe about 8 quarts. So we may have just enough brine for all of this, I hope. Almost there. There we go. There's one. Let's carefully do this so that we can push out most of the air and hopefully not spill this thing all over the place. If I keep saying that, yeah, let's just say I'm speaking from experience when it comes to spilling the brine all over the place. Come on. All right, like now, for instance. That didn't work. Let's try again. This damn thing had better be able to seal up again. Otherwise, I'm going to be rather ticked off. Do this right. Take your time. Come on, you SOB. What am I doing wrong? Using dollar store bags. That's what I'm doing wrong. All right. Let's try again. If this doesn't work, I am going to be perturbed. Okay, I think now it's time to get perturbed. Well, I'm just having some difficulty getting this stupid dollar store Ziploc bag to Ziploc.
If you zip it, will help.
Well, if you'd like. Did I just do it? I might have just done it.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, well, I'll be.
Don't.
No, I know. I have to be sure that it's sealed, that's all. Okay. Hey, I think we got it. It only took like about 5 or 10 tries. All right. And I think it's
Why
going
don't you
to...
dry it and tape it?
Yeah, I could do that.
That's not a bad idea, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Tape it. Okay. Well, there's one. Now for the other. Thank you for your patience once again, everybody. Here comes number 2. So far, I've only spilled a little bit of the brine, so we're not doing too badly. Trying to get as much of the actual seeds and stuff in this as I can. There's no point in wasting them. This is definitely going to be an interesting corned beef this year. It is indeed beef. It just happens to be chuck rather than brisket. At this point, most of the ice seems to be in the bag. So I am actually still scooping up actual seeds and other parts. So we're doing pretty good here. As all of this, of course, equals flavor. And that is really the whole point. It's careful, careful, careful. I'm wondering if, I don't think I'm going to take that much of a risk, considering just simply lifting up the pot and trying to pour it into the bag. But I know me, and I don't trust me that much. On the other hand, maybe I can get a better vantage point for everybody. A lot of the seeds and stuff under here. That's really what I'm trying to get. Well, no, you don't. Yeah, I saw that. Jamie, are you busy? If you are, okay, don't worry about it. I was thinking maybe you could just simply hold the bag while I try pouring the rest of this in. It's not difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not gonna be any different with you
okay,
on that side, you know. Mm-hmm.
go for it. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, I think we got it. Okay.
Might have been too much.
I
think so.
I'm not so sure.
Okay.
Because, yeah, now comes the fun part again, which is...
Mm-hmm. Too much. Too much.
Think so?
It's too much, yeah. It's too much.
Mm.
Yeah, it's too much.
Okay.
Yeah, because now all these spices are going to get in the way.
Yeah, so I see.
Yeah.
All right.
One.
Oh, I think
What's up?
that's all right. If it gets into the bowl, that's okay.
I'm trying to get the spices out of the way of the Ziploc.
Okay. Did you want me to step aside?
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
Hooah. Somehow, looks like we got
Here
it.
I come to save the day.
Yes, exactly. However, you also have a good point. After this, we're going to break out the duct tape.
Yeah, it's going to dry them really, really well, though.
Yeah, there is that. But, looks like we got it. Ugh. Boy, doesn't this look lovely, folks? Okay, hold on. Top of everything else, my cord's there we go. As I said, doesn't this look lovely? Meanwhile, we've got this much left. A little bit of spice. I don't know. Maybe we'll manage something for it. But anyway, there we go. Now, from here, all we're gonna have to do is put this in the fridge for 2 weeks. Oh, wow. Sous Chef Jamie to the rescue, says Rick Stumbow. Yes, exactly. All right, let's see. Okay, let's see the comments here as I was busy doing this. Okay, yeah, pig tooth, high trouble. Yeah, that happens to Bob asked. Corey Clark, yeah, that happens to me a lot. Kick myself for passing up something a week later. Yeah, that's the difficulty about the hunt, as always. When you come across a piece of cast iron, it's like, oh my God, do I really need another one? Got to step back and ask yourself, if I walk away from this, will I regret it a week from now? Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do. So, and War in Ukraine, thanks for the reminder. Yeah, just hit the like button. Well, thank you so much. Makes me sick to my stomach, Corey Clark. If I don't buy a lid I found, I go back and buy it. Yes, exactly. So you can always check out the Goodwill auction site. Okay, and Papa Dan, drum roll, please. Yes, can't. Yep, all the time. I need to see a cast iron counselor. Papa Dan, cancel the drum roll. I thought he was gonna try and pour the brine into the bags. Dipping doesn't need a drum roll. Yeah, it took longer, but as I said, I'm kind of speaking from experience here when it comes to trying to pour that into the bag.
Yeah, with 2 people, it's one thing, but like on film, it's just a little too hard to film with 2 people.
Agreed. It's a lot harder on film, no question about that. So, could you put all the beef in the no? Could you just put the beef in the pot and the fridge, the whole thing? You could actually. But of course, this is a big pot, and at this moment, I don't have room in my fridge for this big pot. Yeah, put the lime in the coconut. But you are correct. I could have saved myself some trouble probably just by simply dropping those pieces of meat into this big pot and putting the whole pot in the fridge for 2 weeks. It's aluminum. It's not going to rust. So, well, there's all. Yeah, as Jamie says, the plastic bags seem a little bit more sanitary, so we can only see what it looks like 2 weeks from now. Shadow Walker XM. This is the reason I know only buy actual Ziploc. Yes, exactly. They actually work for me. The other brands I can't seem to do. Yeah, no, I agreed. I think this will be my last time, he says, using dollar store bags. So. Wipe the bag zipper with paper towel before you try zipping it. That has worked for me in the past. Well, we did manage to get it to work, but thank you very much for the advice. Actually, Chuck sounds like a better choice, or is it just me? Says Shadow Walker XM. I've never considered Chuck, but it may be even nicer. I chose Chuck because it was suggested on my Facebook page by some very knowledgeable folks, and it's pointed out that Chuck is often called poor man's brisket. So that seemed like a pretty good choice as far as doing a corned beef goes. We'll find out in 2 weeks. I have no doubt at all that this is going to taste good. It's beef, and Chuck is delicious. I mean, who hasn't made a Chuck steak that they haven't liked? And what's more, it's marinating in this brine for 2 weeks, so it should certainly be tender enough. So that should certainly help. It only occurs to me at this moment. I wonder what it would be like if we threw a little bit of vinegar into the brine. Nah, that probably would change the consistency completely. Let's just go with the tried and true method. Yeah, it might liquefy the meat. I mean, they've been doing it this way for centuries, and I'm sure if it worked, they probably would have been using vinegar in the brine all this time as well. So, yes. Neo, yes. Yeah, we don't want to degrade the meat. Yes. Neo, Shadow Walker XM, you can corn any kind of meat. Brisket was used because one time it was cheap because it was so tough. Yes, exactly. And that's the whole point. There's the other thing. I'm sure a lot of folks know the story of the origin of corned beef and cabbage on St. Patrick's Day, namely that it doesn't come from Ireland. In fact, this stuff was made in New York City. New York City? Yes, it's true, actually. I'm sure you've heard this story that corned beef and cabbage on St. Patrick's Day originated in New York City. And it started with corned beef because back then the traditional method was to make pork, except that pork was expensive. Beef was cheap in those days. So the Irish community in New York City borrowed some ideas from their Jewish neighbors, a couple of neighborhoods down, and came up with the idea of using beef instead, beef brisket or corned beef. And that, of course, was where corned beef and cabbage on St. Patrick's Day came from. It started in New York City. But as he said, you can corn any kind of meat. It does not have to be brisket. There is no law requiring it to be brisket. We just do it because it's traditional. And of course, the stores want to sell it. I mean, you make any kind of a change at all, and a lot of people will shy away from it. You could put up a big banner saying, "Hey, we're doing corn chuck instead of corn brisket," and you can bet it won't sell.
No, no, Chuck's gotta go.
Yeah, exactly. No, no, Chuck's got to go. So, and so crafts for others. Glad I'm able to catch the live stream, taking a break after my online class of medical terminology and anatomy. Oh yeah, well, I'm more than happy to be to be a distraction and to help people relax. And Corey Clark, pastrami is brisket. Yes, it is. I mean, yes, pastrami, of course, is more particular, and pastrami is a lot more difficult to make too, unless you've got yourself a smoker. Because yeah, that's one thing. On the other hand, I wonder what corn chuck pastrami might taste like. That may not be a bad thing. So, I mean, I'm just going to be doing the usual corned beef and cabbage because it is corned beef. It is still going to be doing that come St. Patrick's Day with this. And I don't have a smoker. So, otherwise, I'd be very tempted to try smoking it and making some pastrami and see what it's like. But hey, anybody else watching, if you want to give this a try, well, of course, that's part of the whole reason why we do this. We very much encourage folks to try this. I love trying new things. As I said, I'm doing this with the chuck, especially because it's new and I haven't tried it before, and I love to see what happens. If anybody else wants to give it a try, and then from there, you could always just smoke it up and even maybe make some pastrami with it. Let us know how it turns out. I'm very much interested. I wonder if a little liquid smoke in one of them would be good. Well, hey, give it a try. And again, that's another good reason why I encourage you to try this yourself. You can use your own combinations, your own spice combinations in this. If you want to add liquid smoke to the brine, that should certainly be interesting.
It's for science.
Yeah, I could have thrown some smoked paprika in there, but I don't know if smoked paprika would work in a liquid brine. However, you're probably more correct about the liquid smoke, or indeed use your own concoctions. If some folks want to add hot sauce to the brine, well, they can do so. Although again, it has vinegar in it, and so that might actually change the consistency of the meat. Maybe when you actually make your corned beef and cabbage, just add your own spices to it. I mean, after all, we're going to be using things like horseradish and Dijon mustard with it, and that all goes great. I have a vinegar fetish anyway, and I love soaking my veggies. Yeah, well, yeah, I do use it that way. I love soaking my veggies with my corned beef in vinegar, for instance. That definitely certainly helps the taste too. But that's really what the short of it all comes down to. And boy, actually, we have just about made our time here as far as this is concerned. We're running into an hour and a half, so well, I wasn't sure if this would actually take up the time, but it certainly has. And I'm very glad about that because yeah, that means once this goes in the fridge, well, we can just head to bed and clean up our mess and then head to bed. But as I said, that's really what it all comes down to, a way to try to get around the fact that things are pretty tough for everybody this year. As we know, prices have gone up, supplies have become scarce. I mean, heck, I've had to order cat food off of the internet because the stores are bare. I go to Walmart. Ugh, I go to Target. I go to Price Chopper. Just trying to get cat food for my cats. I cannot find it.
They're
So
also very extremely finicky.
yeah, oh yeah, it doesn't help as well that the cats are finicky too. Yes, but because of that, I actually had to order my cat food online, and I've been doing that regularly for the last couple of months. As a result, I'm actually have quite a few cans of fish cat food here. And actually, what I'm having trouble doing is finding some ways to add variety to it. Because no, they're not spoiled. I didn't spoil them. You can ask Jamie; she'll tell you I didn't spoil these cats. Yeah. And Poke Park 23. It's a crazy time for sure. Let's hope things improve and there's peace in the world. Definitely. So, and Papa Dan, yeah, 85. Well, we're down to 80 now because, yeah, we are getting to that time and why not? So, but still, that's pretty much what we've done tonight. And again, that's the whole reason why we did this with Chuck because things are so crazy and it's hard to find the basic I guess, set up to do a corned beef and cabbage. Well, we're trying something new. And I'm encouraging folks to do that as well because that helps make it interesting. And as I said initially, the whole reason why we're doing this is that I'm pretty confident that this is going to taste good. And I'm definitely looking forward to trying it in 2 weeks' time. You don't have to brine this for a whole 2 weeks for the record. They say between a week to 10 days, and then it'll be all finished. I'm just waiting the 2 weeks. Well, because of course, that's traditional, and that's St. Patrick's Day. So tuna and salmon is sometimes cheaper than cat food. We've tried giving regular tuna to our cats, and they turn their noses up at it. Finicky.
They like the tuna juice, but not tuna. I don't know.
They like the tuna juice, but they don't like the tuna. So canned tuna is almost the same price as cat food. Also try raw chicken livers. You can cook slow in the microwave if they don't like them raw. They've never liked liver. But we're doing what we can, and they are still eating.
Mostly won't eat. Mostly, it has to be cat food. Mostly won't touch human food.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be the certain kind of cat food. Yes, otherwise Mobley in particular won't touch it.
She only eat bacon. Cat food.
She does like bacon, though.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. And with that,
She
I
said
think,
she's interested, and she goes, no, thank you.
yeah, I think we are getting on into our time here, which means, if nothing else, let's get one more shot, I guess, of the Wagner unmarked chicken fryer, which I'm very happy to have used to prepare this brine tonight. And I guess we're getting on. How's Miss Mobley's fur chewing problem? Well, as we mentioned, unfortunately, it's still happening. Yeah, no, there does not seem to have been any improvement. So we're actually going to have to see a vet and see what kind of advice we can get on that. So, yeah. Poke Park 23, you've tweaked my interest in trying this. Yes, I have half a beef brisket in my freezer from the summer. Now I have something new to try as I normally smoke it. Well, you can still smoke it. Brine it first, and then you'll have some corned beef. Then, yeah, that's the other thing. You don't have to just boil your corned beef when it comes time for Thanksgiving. St. Patrick's Day. That's the whole point. I braise my corned beef. I slow cook it in a Dutch oven. I don't cover it with liquid. I just use enough liquid to braise it. And I really love how it turns out. I think the flavor is more intense. So what you could do is go ahead and brine that half of a brisket you have for about 2 weeks. Come St. Patrick's Day, go ahead and smoke it. You don't have to, as I said, you don't have to boil it. Go ahead and smoke it, and you are going to have yourself one hell of a corned beef. And Bob asks, I also cook chicken thighs for my cats. You have to be creative. Sardines too, definitely. And it's going to be like that until things boil over one way or another. Because no, as we've said before with this pandemic, there is no going back. Things are never going to be back the way they were. We are going to have to adjust. And that's one reason why we're doing this tonight. It's one way of adjusting. And I'm certainly looking forward to the results in 2 weeks. And I can only hope that they turn out well. But you folks will be able to see what happens one way or another. And having said that, Sean Sylvie just got done using my cast iron searing a ribeye. Sam Cook just got here. I'm gonna have to watch from the beginning. Oh yeah, that pot looks heavy duty. It's a nice aluminum pot too. I'm very happy with this. It's an aluminum stock pot that I bought at an India market. It's definitely not vintage. I bought it brand new, but as I said, aluminum, as I found out, is a wonderful water boiler, and that's why I got that, especially for use as a stock pot. So I bought dozens of cases of cat food from Chewy. Yes, I signed up for Chewy as well. And having said that, as I said, we're getting on to about that time. And as always, though, I very much appreciate everybody showing up and enjoying yourselves. And at least I hope you enjoy yourselves. Please, as always, leave some comments. If you like it, please like and hit that subscribe button and that bell for the next time we go live. Going on with this, as I mentioned, I've got at least a pork chop video to do for this weekend, and a deep fried PBJ, peanut butter and jelly video as well for this weekend, both of which I'm hoping we'll have time to finish. And then, of course, there's next week, where I'm finally going to be doing what I had planned to do last week, because it was a good idea. Next week, we're going to, 2 weeks ago, we did that cornbread, and I think it turned out well, and I had a lot of fun doing that. We got to see and talk about a lot of vintage cast iron, and we made a lot of cornbread. So we're going to do the same treatment next week with good old biscuits and gravy. We'll do some biscuits and gravy in our cast iron, some vintage cast iron, and we will take a look and see how it all turns out. And it was seared in fresh garlic and ghee. Oh yeah, that's the best way to do it. So hello, Val's Black Cats Rule. Glad to see you here again tonight. But having said that, I think we are about all set. And I can only thank everybody, as always, for showing up, because, again, it's really you folks here that makes these things so much fun. And I enjoy doing them every week, especially because of you. So thank you, everybody, for showing up. And I guess we are all set for this evening. Yes, next week is going to be biscuits and gravy. Gravy. But for now, I think we're all set. So have a good night, everybody. Good night. And as I always say from 2001, see you next Wednesday.